So I don't know if you remember Friday, I made you stand up. I won't make you stand up, but a tradition when I speak is a slow clap. So we have to start with a slow clap. Now, I do this with my students every single morning. Whether you're in like first period, you're like really groggy, or ninth period, you just want to get the hell out of there. Not just them, me too. The slow clap, a little fun fact for anybody that ever has to speak, it at least sets everybody on the same playing field. And now it's my job to keep your attention. So like the slow clap brings us all together, and now it's my job. And that's going to be my job over the next 20 minutes or so. I do have a bell in school which tells me to shut up. But Stephen Say doesn't know what I'm going to talk about, and I don't have fancy PowerPoint presentations, but I do not want you to think I'm not organized. I do have a game plan. All right, you can see I wrote this game plan. I will make this available to anybody that wants it. It has a very simple start. It has some insert laughter. Not yet. It's early. It has a don't cry. And then I have a little bit of like don't screw up and then receive applause. So that's really the game plan. The main reason I don't have a PowerPoint is as a teacher, I felt that it always confined me to like a specific path. And speaking last is like a blessing in a curse. Who would want to speak first? The rest of you would want to speak last? Nobody would want to speak. Thanks for the participation, guys. This is off to a really, really great start. The real reason I like to speak last, this allows some context. So we can talk about a bunch of different things. I told Stephen I was going to talk about monetizing hobbies. That's what really got me to financial independence. The talk that I really want to have today is about like meeting in common grounds and like the true purpose that I see of us being here together. Because what I found is that it doesn't matter if you know somebody, like whoever heard of me before this weekend. That's good news, because I get to come in on a clean slate, right? I get to come in and give you guys a picture of me and what I present, and I can be a common ground to you. I can be the person that maybe you are looking to be. Like I'm not on a pedestal, and the talk I want to have is more about conversation. I'm not here to promote myself. I'm here to promote conversations, not only the ones that we've had already, but the ones that we'll have tomorrow and we'll have in the future and things like that. You all have something in common with me. I all have something in common with you, and the same holds true for everybody. And I don't think, I'll give you an example. Who was born on March 22nd, 1982? Okay, that was a bad first example. Who parents are named Mary and Jerry? Okay, all right, let's make it. Who has ever been to Colorado Springs? Okay, see, we all have something in common. We all have something in common. And those are the things that I really want to find, and that's really the things that I want to talk about. There's parts of me in you, and there's parts of you in me, and we all have something in common, but even better, and this is the true purpose of Camp Phi. We all know, everybody out here knows something I don't know. And I know a ton of things that you don't know. So we're going to try and figure out a way in a short amount of time as possible in a 3-day camp. How much can I learn from you that I don't know? And how much can you learn from me that you don't know? I think that's what my talk is about, right? Finding that common ground and like reading into conversations. I wrote stuff down. Now this can be easier said than done, right? To be able to learn about people, there are many different things that we have to overcome, because although we all have many things in common, we all are very, very different people. So how do we find out about other people? Well, first, I think being humble is a very, very important step to learning about others. If you sat with me this weekend, I can talk, right? I'll talk all day, okay? But what a very few amount of you will know, and maybe I just have to give this away before you have the opportunity to figure it out, is I'm a really, really good listener. And the things that I know are because I'm a really, really, really good listener. So to learn from others, we have to be able to listen, right? You can take cliche quotes about the strongest man in the room is the quietest man in the room. That doesn't work well for me. I like to be the loudest person. Did I take a different beer? I opened two. Don't worry, I have a bunny under here too that I'm gonna pull out of the hat. No, guys, what I mean to say is like the fact that you don't know who I am is probably the best attribute that I have. Because I don't have to worry about anybody like thinking that like I'm a big shot. I'm really not. I also say this to my 18-year-olds, like we're all on the same team. I just might have different life experiences than you, and I'm going to listen to you, but unfortunately, you're going to be forced to listen to me, okay? So now how being a listener and learning from others has made me financially successful. I've always been a hustler. I was like that kid that sold potato chips and pop out of his locker in school. I was the person that always found a way to make a buck. And I didn't know that was business, right? When I sold sodas in school, I didn't know I was starting a business. But I knew that if I received more money than I paid for the soda, I was going to have some money left over to spend on pizza and girls and lacrosse sticks. I don't know what I was buying back then. I don't have any of it left. So it went somewhere. But it really was a business in a sense. And the first time I really think I created a business, and this is along the lines of monetizing hobbies. I challenge you on Friday, maybe you got to think about it. You do not have a hobby that I cannot monetize in 6 months. You don't. And I would love to have a conversation if you don't think that I could. Every single person that has a hobby has either paid somebody for the information about that hobby, is currently paying somebody to help them pursue that hobby, is paying somebody to keep that hobby going. Why can't all of those things be you? And that's really what I focus on with my hobbies. And the first one that I really had was when I was in middle school. My father, he was not business savvy, but always knew how to like save some money where he could. We were super blue collar. My father was a conductor on the Long Island Railroad. He collected tickets. My mother was a nurse. And he said, Brad, like, we were probably talking like, Dad, I want to go skiing. Skiing's so expensive. I'm about a 4-hour drive from Vermont. It's probably some of the best skiing I have in the Northeast. I know it's not like Aspen or anything like that, but I said, Dad, like, it's so expensive. And he goes, well, why don't you set up a trip and then factor in the cost of your trip on everybody else? And I was like, whoa. And at 15, 16 years old, I was running coach buses up to Vermont pretty much every single weekend in the winter, skiing for free, essentially. They covered my lift tickets, my transportation, my food, and everything. And it was one of the first times that I realized, like, wow, I can do pretty much anything I want to do and have somebody else pay for me to do it. But that was the first time I felt like I could monetize a hobby. Somebody asked me last night, how did I know I could monetize a hobby? I think that was really the moment that I said, like, I can monetize a hobby, and I just didn't know how many hobbies I'd have. One of the best part about monetizing hobbies is you can change them whenever you want. Like next year, if you all bump into me, my greatest hobby might be real estate, you know? You know, I might say like, screw this and that. I am now a hobbyist and I'm going to learn how to monetize real estate. Apparently, you can make money in real estate. I did not know until I came to Colorado that would be true, but now I know, and I have more people that I can learn from. The second time I monetized a hobby came about a decade later. I wasted some time in between doing this thing called college. After college, I started doing the Ironman triathlons. And after I was kind of like, I couldn't monetize it, I tried. It was a lot. Like bikes were expensive, I couldn't figure it out. And instead, while I was doing that, part of my strength training was this thing that was very, very new. This was like 2011, 2012 was CrossFit. You guys heard of CrossFit? At the time, there was like 2 or 3 CrossFits on Long Island, and now I think there's like 70. And the one that I was going to with a buddy was maybe like 25, 30 minutes away. It was a trip for us, and I loved it. And I said to him, I'm like, Shane, look around, man. Like, this is a warehouse. They called it a box. This is a warehouse with, $10,000-$15,000 worth of sporting equipment in here. And like, I think we could do this. And we could probably do better than this dude. He didn't have like showers or even a clean bathroom. I might give, and CrossFit, like you go to the gym, it's like what, 20, I don't know, what's the gym cost now? $10 a month, $12 a month? You could probably get a Planet Fitness for $1 a month, but like CrossFit was like $150 a month, and this was ridiculous. And on top of that, at the time I was doing jujitsu, which is also a very, very expensive monthly habit. And I couldn't teach jujitsu, but I looked at like the barrier to entry of a CrossFit, and I'm like, literally, dude, in a month, we can open a gym, and literally within a month, we became the 4th CrossFit on Long Island and exploded. And I was working out for free, and I was running a business. I never had any business experience, but I was running like reoccurring payments. I had to learn like what a credit card was. Like I had to like figure out waivers and all these things about business. And that became like a hobby in itself, small business. And that was a really big turning point for like, all right, do I want to do a business or not? And I think there's a small piece that I'm missing here. At the time, I was also a school teacher. As a teacher, the best full-time job in the world, kids, best full-time job in the world. I had this time to do these other hobbies. I didn't have wife, I didn't have kids. I was able to just monetize these hobbies. And I did that CrossFit for like 3 or 4 years. It's still open to this day, okay? Which leads me to the next greatest thing that I love about monetizing hobbies. When you get sick of that hobby, there's probably somebody else that is so fired up about that hobby that they will gladly take your place and pay you money to leave. And that's what my partner did. At the time, I think we were taking home maybe like $2,500 a month, maybe. We had the business evaluated, and I was like, dude, I'm not really into this. You know, like, I want to move on to a new hobby. That's the next business. We'll get there. I was able to get a buyout from him, which gave me this large sum of money that I could essentially, instead of like buying another real estate property, I could use that flip to start another small business. One of the hobbies that I had, and one of the things that drew me away from the gym, I loved making beer. I didn't really even like drinking it that much. I liked the process, the scientific process of it. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, I've been intoxicated before. Okay, I gotta check off insert laughter. Got it? And I was seriously homebrewing, and I had a buddy that I was seriously homebrewing with, and it was getting ridiculous. And our wives, I was married now, both of the wives like sat us down for an intervention, and they were like, listen, there's 25 5-gallon buckets in our kitchen. For anybody that homebrews, you ferment in 5-gallon buckets. The whole house smells like CO2. We probably should get a sensor in here. And you guys are literally brewing and practicing drinking every single night. And I said to Chris, like, hey man, we should open a brewery. We should like go for it. And the wives were like, yes, either do that or stop, because this is getting ridiculous. And it wasn't until we finally, after proof of concept, realized that, yeah, we were making really, really good beer. Now, 7 years later, literally award-winning beer at some of the greatest competitions in the world. That brewery now became my first like $1 million net grossing business. And one of the downsides of monetizing hobbies is it might exceed your expectations. It might grow bigger than you want. When I see people like Rachel talk, one of the questions I always want is like, when is enough enough? Is getting to a certain point enough? And I felt with the brewery, I had a spot that was enough because I had a W-2 job. I had a growing family. My son had just been born. And for me, we reached that enough. And for my partner, we hadn't. And this started to cause a lot of conflict between my partner and I. So I had a decision to make. Do I want to grow again, put in the time, money, effort, sacrifice the family, sacrifice relationships to make a jump on a hobby that was really supposed to be a place we could get out of the house when our wives were driving us nuts? Or should I swallow my pride and exit the business? And that's what I decided to do. I was able to do so, one, because of my W-2. I'll be forthcoming. I'm able to do all the reckless things I do with small business and things because I have the comfort and security of my W-2. And my W-2 allowed me to make this decision to exit the brewery. And exiting the brewery is really what set me to FI in more ways than financially. I saved a relationship with my partner, which I didn't do with the CrossFit. I no longer speak to him. And I was paid handsomely. And that buyout has really what sent me into the FI community. That allowed me to have conversations. The first day I didn't have the brewery was like the most uplifting day in my whole life. I knew nobody could call me for anything, and it's not all cupcakes and butterflies, but it can be done. And there were a lot of hard times and a lot of good times. When I knew that I was going to leave the brewery, the workaholic in me needed to figure out one more thing to do, I think. I don't know if I'm done or not, but the next thing was a hobby that I didn't know was a real hobby, and that was education. As we've heard teachers say, I love my job. It's the best part-time job in the world. And unfortunately, sometimes you don't always feel appreciated for it. It's not a pity party. I think I'm very appreciated by my students, and I know I do good work. But I knew that there was other avenues to teach that I could get a lot more credit for and that I could also monetize, and that's where YouTube came in. I found out that I could talk about personal finance, which was now very prevalent in my life, and I could educate people on it in a way that was easy for people to understand. Back to that, we all have something in common. I don't have a YouTube channel because I, Brad Finn, need to tell people that you should probably not have any consumer debt and that you should probably invest a large amount of money into VTI or another similar index fund, right? But there might be a teacher out there that doesn't think it's possible. Or there might be a father of 2 young kids that might not think it's possible. There might be somebody that's 38 years old that might not think it's possible. And that's where I found YouTube to be truly valuable. It's not about the message that I give, and it's not about everybody should have a YouTube channel. We were speaking last night. Most of you are probably the go-to amongst your friends for something. Like they call you for this, they call you for that. That should be your YouTube channel. Instead of answering that question all the time for your friends, make a video about it and just send them the link. And tell them if they have any follow-ups to give you a call. I do that, and I'll send them because when you make more, 90% of my YouTube content now is from the comment section. Yeah, because if I can't follow up a question with another link, I have to make a video. That's the day I need to make a video. And it just has been so incredible to use that platform to spread a message of conversation. Not all good conversation and bad conversation. And YouTube has now become, and all the things around it have become my primary source of income. Between affiliates and ads and the communities that I run. And I make a joke that I also have a book about something that I don't even really know that much about. But I figured if I was going to research it for YouTube and take really good notes like a teacher can, and I could organize it the way a teacher can in a true lesson, when I'm done taking the notes, why don't I just send it to Amazon KDP and they'll put a cover on it and send it to whoever wants to pay me $9.99 for it. It's fantastic. So now anytime I write something down, I have I'm probably going to put that on Amazon KDP one day. And if you have questions about Amazon KDP or you have a stack of PDFs, please talk to me later because I'll show you how easy it is to monetize on Amazon KDP. That's really where I'm at. I'm at a spot right now where YouTube is doing great. It's grown enough where I don't necessarily need to make content every single day. I think my last video was posted 13 days ago. I'm not really active on social media. I truly think it's toxic. It could probably grow my business, but at what expense to my mental health is not really worth it. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm gonna do. And I mean, I guess if you wanna know like what I'm doing, like Instagram is probably the best way that you can like follow along with the stupid things I'm doing. My YouTube channel is Brad Finn, and it literally talks about everything from Dave Ramsey's baby steps that I started in September of 2017, all the way up to day trading stock options with 0 days to expiration just to piss a couple people off. Because God forbid a VTI slinging Dave Ramsey guy starts getting on the internet and talking about day trading stock options, or picking them up. But the best thing about monetizing hobbies, it never feels like work. Tom said yesterday he'd work for free. Is your job a hobby? Maybe.
Sure. I mean, it was at one point. Still is. I don't know.
He monetized a hobby. It might be a job, but it's still a hobby, and it never feels like work. The second thing is your hobbies are allowed to change daily. I couldn't care less about CrossFit. Couldn't care less. It made me a lot of money. Couldn't care less. I still like beer. But the business of beer, I now advocate against. Like I under very few conditions would I get back into the brewing industry. And because they always change, I always have something to look forward to. My next hobby. I always have another challenge ahead. And when I don't want to monetize them anymore, I could just make them hobbies. And I think the last is the benefits that come with owning a small business. Whether it's a sole prop, which means like you don't have a business structure or entity, or whether you're an LLC and you pass through or you're a corporation, the amount of money that I save every single year from just owning a business and the tax things that come along with it are fantastic. And I've been a sole prop, I've had an LLC, I've had a corporation, so if any of you guys want to ask me questions, I might know some things that you don't know about the structure of businesses and like, for example, when should you be an LLC versus when should you be a corporation? Or when should you stay a sole prop? Or when should you become an LLC? That's a great conversation that we can also have. I think that's it. Let me see. If you like math and physics, I have a YouTube channel dedicated to physics that was kind of created by chance because of COVID. My wife teaches advanced calculus, so she's the calculus part of the Math and Physics Tutor YouTube channel. I'm the physics part. That channel has almost 7,000 subscribers and makes me like $350 a month in just AdSense revenue. And then the amount of tutoring that I pull, I literally get to tutor kids from all over the world virtually because of that channel. And my newest hobby is running. So I started Brad Finn Runs, and that has like 45 subscribers. And, and I have a goal of getting something for free from a running company by the end of the year, whether that's like a shoe to do a running shoe review or a shirt things, all these fun things and fun ways that you can monetize them. I also have a podcast called Average Money. It's with another YouTuber who is my best friend and lives in Missouri, which is really, really cool about this community as well. Some of my best friends are now scattered all amongst my country. Try explaining that to your wife. It was both our ways of outletting away from YouTube and how the YouTube algorithm has almost forced us into making content that I won't say we're not proud of, but doesn't really align. Like, I have to this day, in every video, preference the fact that 95% of my net worth is in index funds or cash, and that this options trading video has been done with less than 1% of my net worth. Because that is our core value, and what Average Money allowed us to do was get a Midwest kid and a New York loudmouth together to have real conversations about money and go back to the foundations. It's entertaining, it's fun. We're currently on a break right now because I'm on vacation this month here in Colorado. I'll be here for the end of the month. And but you definitely, there's over 100 episodes, so 200 hours of that till we start making content again. But that's all I have, guys. And like I said, this is not about promoting me, it's promoting conversations. I've been very, very lucky. I was told before I came to Camp Phi to sit with a different table or a different group of people at every meal. It's like a forced way to sit down. And I've gotten most of you, not everyone. We have one meal left, I believe, or do we have breakfast or just one meal, 2 meals left? So I look forward to that and also the conversations that we can have. I want to learn from you because all of you know something that I don't know. All right? Thank you, guys.